They laughed when you said nothing. They're panicking now that they realize you saw everything. My dear chosen ones, today we're not holding back. We're not dimming our perception to make the blind feel safe. We're not shrinking so their lies can stretch further. We're cracking the whole illusion wide open. See, they thought you were asleep, that you were too soft, too quiet, too naive. They called you paranoid, dramatic, overly sensitive. But now, they're scrambling. They're pacing, deleting, panicking, because the same stillness they mistook for confusion was actually your power loading in silence. They never feared what you said, they feared what you could see, and now the masks they once wore like armor are lying in a heap, and they can't even make eye contact with you because they know you knew the whole time. You, chosen one, didn't need hidden cameras or whispered warnings. You didn't need to snoop through their phones or interrogate their circle. You walked in, felt the room shift, and in one blink you saw everything like a chessboard already laid out, not just who they were, but who they pretended to be. You didn't flinch. You didn't react. You watched. And let's be real, what breaks them isn't just that you caught on, it's how fast you caught on, how precise, how surgical. Your silence wasn't blank space, it was strategy. They thought you were clueless when you were actually 3 steps ahead, tracing the architecture of their deceit like a blueprint you've studied before. Because this wasn't your first betrayal, just their first time getting caught by someone like you. They underestimated what it means to be chosen. They thought chosen meant loud, meant proud, meant ego. No, chosen means accurate. It means dangerous. It means being the wild card they can't calculate, the glitch in their system of manipulation. So now they're shocked, off balance. Not because you exposed them, but because you didn't have to. Your energy alone shattered their control. Your very presence forced their shadows to confess. Welcome, chosen ones. You didn't just dodge the trap, you documented the entire performance. And today, we're going to talk about why your knowing was never luck. It was instinct sharpened by experience, and now it's time they feel every inch of that precision. Let's get into it. And before we break this down piece by piece, take a second, chosen one. Yes, you. If you've ever felt the weight of knowing too much too soon, if your silence has ever been mistaken for weakness, if people are suddenly acting weird because they know you saw through the facade, they weren't ready for your accuracy, and that's exactly why you're here. Drop a 77 in the comments if this message is hitting too close to your reality. Tap that like button if your intuition has ever exposed the game before it started. Hit subscribe and keep this energy flowing, because this isn't just a video, it's a mirror, a moment, a movement. And now, let's break it down, step by step. And believe me, if you're truly chosen, what you're about to hear will feel like someone's been watching your life from behind the scenes. This isn't ordinary insight. Ordinary people don't get this level of clarity. Only chosen ones do. Let's get started. Number 1. You didn't figure them out. You recognized the pattern instantly. They thought they were playing a new game. You were just watching a rerun. They didn't know you'd already survived. My dear chosen ones, this part will hit deep, because it's not just about knowing who they were, it's about remembering them. You didn't sit there decoding mixed signals, reading between the lines, or overthinking every word. You weren't decoding, you were downloading. What they thought was you being slow to catch on was actually your mind flipping through familiar pages in a book you've already read. You didn't study them, you sensed them. Their presence activated something ancient in you, a feeling, a knowing, a ping in your internal radar that said, "We've seen this before." Not necessarily in this body, in this lifetime, or with this face. But the pattern, oh, the pattern was familiar. The way they smiled while hiding the knife, the way their eyes hesitated before a lie, the way their compliments had a twist of envy in the tone. You didn't need a reason to feel off. You already knew. And here's the part that twists the knife in them. You didn't need evidence. You didn't wait for them to confess, or slip up, or hand you the proof. You saw right through the script before they even started acting. You didn't go through their phone. You didn't listen through the walls. You didn't chase the truth. The truth came and sat quietly in the center of your awareness like it always does. They didn't understand it then. They thought your silence meant you were unsure. They assumed your kindness meant you were easily fooled. But now they realize you weren't behind. You were ahead. You were watching, calmly, precisely, without flinching. That's what unsettles them. Your knowing didn't scream. It observed. It waited. It stayed still. And here's where it hits the hardest. They weren't just exposed by your awareness. They were haunted by your stillness. You didn't attack them, accuse them, or corner them. You let them dance. You let them perform their fake concern, their manipulated empathy, their carefully constructed version of who they wanted to be seen as. And all the while, you were mentally documenting everything, not for revenge, but for clarity, for confirmation, so that when the time came, you could walk away clean, not confused. Let them wonder how you knew. Let them replay conversations trying to figure out the moment they gave themselves away. Because the truth is, they didn't give themselves away. They were already known. Before the first lie, before the first act, before the mask was even fully in place. Your mind didn't analyze them. Your body remembered them. Your energy recognized what theirs tried to hide. That's not paranoia. That's pattern recognition, built from years of navigating unseen territory. You weren't reacting, you were remembering. And that's the difference between the chosen and the average. The average waits to be hurt to see the truth. But you, chosen one, saw it long before it could even reach you. And that's what they'll never understand, how someone so quiet, so kind, so composed could see through everything without saying a word. But that's the power of being chosen. You don't just know what's coming, you feel it before it arrives. And by the time they realize you were never confused, you're already gone. With every truth, every pattern, every moment documented in silence. They thought they had time. They didn't know you'd already read the ending. Number 2, the mask never slipped. You just pretended not to see it. The mask didn't fall. You just never told them you saw through it. They thought they slipped. You knew they were acting from the first line of the script. Listen closely, chosen one. This is the part they'll never admit, not to themselves and certainly not to anyone else. They think they got caught because they slipped up. Maybe they texted the wrong thing, told one lie too many, looked at you the wrong way. They're spinning in circles, replaying the moment they believe they lost control. But here's the truth. They never had it to begin with. You saw straight through them from day one. You weren't blindsided. You weren't hoping they'd change. You weren't clinging to their potential. You clocked them the moment they walked in. The posture, the tone, the overly polished smiles, the words that didn't match the energy. You weren't decoding. You were already awake. They thought they were performing for someone who bought the act. But they didn't realize the room they were standing in had already been analyzed, from the lighting to the script. You were watching with a level of awareness they've never encountered, and that's what's breaking them now. You chose not to expose them immediately. That wasn't confusion. That was strategy. That was control. You gave them space, not because you were fooled, but because you were curious how deep they'd go. You wanted to see who they really were when they thought no one could see through them. And oh, did they reveal it all? Not once, not twice, repeatedly, consistently, as if your silence was an invitation. What they'll never be able to explain is how you now speak with such accuracy it chills them. You remember the day, the outfit, the exact wording of the lie, the micro-expression they didn't know they made. You bring up details so precisely that they can't argue, can't deny, can't run. It's not that you're bitter, it's that you're exact. You didn't lash out, you documented, and now you're delivering truth with surgical precision. Chosen one, that's your power. The calm that they mistook for blindness was actually your deepest state of clarity. You weren't emotionally hijacked. You weren't lost in love or loyalty. You were measuring the pattern. You were gathering proof. You were watching them bury their own credibility with every word they thought they got away with. They thought they had the upper hand, but the joke is on them. They were performing in a room you already saw through. Every mask, every motive, every silent insult dressed up as kindness. You caught it all. And now they're terrified, because it wasn't their mistake that exposed them. It was your memory. It was your restraint. It was your decision to wait until you were ready to speak. And that level of self-control. That's the part they never prepared for. You didn't blow their cover. They unraveled themselves, and you just let the mask fall at their feet, quietly, powerfully, without even blinking. Number 3. You let the lies flow, just to watch how deep they dig their own grave. You let them dig their own grave. You just wanted to see how deep it'd go. They didn't fall into a trap. They built it themselves while you held the blueprint in silence. My dear chosen ones, this one cuts deep. Not for you, but for them. Because while they were grinning in your face and crafting lies like second nature, you weren't confused, desperate, or emotionally hooked. You already knew. You didn't need answers. You weren't on some wild hunt for the truth. You had the truth. What you didn't have was confirmation of just how far they'd go to maintain the act, so you gave them rope. And they took it. See, they thought your silence was uncertainty. They mistook your stillness for ignorance. But what they'll never admit, what's keeping them up now, is that the entire time they were putting on their little performance. You were taking notes. Every lie, every contradiction, every carefully timed excuse was being mentally filed away like evidence in a locked vault. You didn't interrupt them. You let them talk. You watched them build the stage, decorate it, and step into character, all while knowing exactly how the show ends. You weren't passive, you were precise. That's what's frying their circuits now. They're realizing you weren't waiting for an apology or a breakdown or some grand reveal. You were waiting for consistency. You wanted to see if they'd stay fake even when you gave them a clear opportunity to come clean. And they did, again and again, not because they were good liars, but because they were arrogant enough to think you were too soft to notice. But you did notice. You noticed everything. Chosen one, your strength was never in confrontation. It was in your control. While others would have snapped, you sat still. While others would have begged for clarity, you quietly documented character. They thought they were winning because you didn't react, but you weren't silent because you were hurt. You were silent because you were finished, just waiting for the final piece to drop before you walked away, cold, clean, and complete. And now they're not just embarrassed that you figured them out. They're humiliated that you watched the entire thing unfold, expressionless, like a director watching actors rehearse a script you didn't believe for a second. They thought they were getting away with it, but you were testing depth, not chasing truth. You were measuring the length they'd go to keep you in the dark, and they failed the test in full view. You weren't hoping they'd tell the truth. You were giving them the stage to bury themselves in their own dishonesty. And when they finally crossed that last line, you didn't cry. You didn't shout. You didn't even flinch. You just closed the file. Case dismissed. They expected chaos. What they got was calculation. That's what shakes them now, the realization that you were never behind. You were always ahead, just quiet enough to let them expose themselves without ever knowing you were watching the whole time. Number 4, your precision. Wasn't a guess. You pulled the truth straight from the air. You were the truth bomb they never saw coming. They hid everything behind closed doors, except from the one person who didn't need a key to get in. My dear chosen ones, this is the part that really leaves them rattled. It's not just that you knew, it's how you knew, and how deeply you knew, without ever being told a thing. You weren't piecing together breadcrumbs. You weren't snooping, spying, or chasing confirmation. You were the confirmation. The moment you spoke, everything they tried to hide collapsed like it had been waiting for your voice to detonate it. They don't fear your knowledge, they fear your accuracy, because accuracy without evidence, that terrifies the ones who operate in shadows. You didn't overhear, you didn't peek at a screen, you didn't have a mole in their group chat. And yet, somehow, you called it all out, perfectly. No slip-ups, no rumors, no tip-offs. Just precision that cut so clean they had to ask themselves, how the hell did they know that? Let me tell you, chosen one, they still don't have the answer. Because what you're working with isn't logic, it's energy. While they were lying behind smiles and manufacturing confusion behind the scenes, you were tapped into every silent signal, every shift in tone, every inconsistency in the atmosphere. It's like you were tuned to a hidden frequency where truth broadcasts 24/7 and you've got perfect reception. They don't believe in that kind of knowing because they can't control it, they can't fake it, they can't block it, and that's what keeps them up at night. You weren't playing detective, you were the censor. They were out here spinning illusions and pulling strings, but you were catching the tension in the air before the puppet show even started. You felt the betrayal before it had words. You saw the manipulation before it had form. They thought they had time to play you. What they didn't realize is that you already saw the game board the second they stepped into the room. You didn't have to catch them red-handed. They were already burning from the inside under your gaze. That's why your presence alone changes the atmosphere. It's not just what you say, chosen one. It's what you don't say. It's the look, the silence, the stillness that reads like a verdict. And what really shakes them? You never guessed, you never assumed, you simply knew. You were the walking receipt they couldn't erase. The moment you spoke, it wasn't an accusation, it was a revelation. And revelations can't be argued with. You dropped truths they weren't ready to admit out loud, and now they're panicking, not because you found out, but because you felt it before it even happened. They thought their silence would protect them, but even in silence, their energy was screaming. And you were listening. That's why they're stunned. You didn't read a message, you read the room, you read the person, you read the lie that never even had to be told. Because that's what chosen ones do. They don't need proof. They are the proof. Number 5. You didn't expose them loudly. You dismantled them without saying a word. You didn't shout the truth. You became it, and that's what shattered them. They expected fire and fury, but your silence turned out to be the earthquake. My dear chosen ones, you've got to understand this. It's not just what you knew that shook them, it's how you carried it. They weren't destroyed by exposure. They were undone by the ease with which you saw them, read them, and walked away without making a sound. That's the part they can't stomach. They braced for a storm, expected retaliation, chaos, or a meltdown. But you stayed unbothered. You didn't clap back. You didn't start a campaign to clear your name. You didn't throw dirt even when you were covered in it. You didn't need a crowd to validate your experience. You let your truth, quiet, clean, undeniable, do what their lies never could. Stand tall without trying. What makes you dangerous isn't your anger, it's your control, your restraint, your stillness, the fact that they poked, lied, performed, and provoked, and you didn't even flinch. While they were building drama, pulling strings, and feeding off chaos, you were observing, documenting, letting their whole show unravel without even stepping onto the stage. That's what rattled them. Not an explosion, but your non-reaction. They expected you to be messy. They counted on you to be reactive. They wanted a reason to play the victim, twist the narrative, and keep spinning their web. But you refused to play their game. You let the silence speak, and it screamed. They don't fear you because you tried to ruin them. They fear you because you could have and didn't. And now they're living in the tension of that power. Because deep down, they know if the roles were reversed, they would have taken you down without blinking. They would have humiliated you, exposed every flaw, and set fire to your peace just to watch you break. But you chose dignity when destruction was within reach. That's why they can't sleep. That's why your name lives rent-free in their head. It's not what you said. It's what you didn't say. It's not what you exposed. It's what you held back. Because your power was never in proving yourself. It was in knowing that you didn't need to. You didn't just break their mask. You shattered the illusion that they were ever in control. And what's worse for them, you didn't even try. You didn't fight to win. You just were steady, grounded, exact, unapologetically clear in a room full of manipulation. That's what makes you untouchable. Your mastery, your emotional discipline, your refusal to stoop to their level. You didn't need revenge. You had reality on your side. And the truth? It burns a lot hotter when it's delivered with calm precision instead of loud accusations. So remember this, chosen ones, your greatest weapon was never how loud you could scream. It was how little you needed to. Because they underestimated your silence until it became the very thing that exposed everything. Number 6. You weren't watching the drama. You were conducting a silent autopsy on their intentions. By the time they realized you were conducting an autopsy, it was already over. They thought they were fooling you, but you were already writing the final report on their performance, one cold fact at a time. My dear chosen ones, this one's for the moments where you sat in silence while chaos walked circles around you, moments they thought you were lost, distracted, or emotionally checked out. But in reality, you were tuned in, fully alert, and quietly dissecting the death of trust in real time. They thought the fake affection was working, that the disguised envy hidden inside their compliments was invisible, that the backhanded comments, the subtle digs, the shady shifts in energy, all of it was sliding under your radar. What they didn't know was that you were the radar. Every word, every glance, every vibration in the room was being recorded in you. Not for drama, not for revenge, but for truth, for clarity. While they were busy performing for approval, for attention, for control, you were performing a forensic analysis of their character. This wasn't just observation, this was a spiritual autopsy. And the body on the table? Their loyalty, their integrity, their intentions, all laid bare under your silent inspection. You weren't reacting because there was nothing to react to. You were confirming, calmly, intelligently, strategically. They expected emotion, a meltdown, a blow-up, a scene, but you didn't give them that. You gave them stillness. And in that stillness, they started to feel the weight of your knowing. That eerie quiet wasn't confusion. It was control. You saw through every layer they wrapped themselves in, the smile that didn't touch their eyes, the praise that came with a sting, the just checking in messages loaded with hidden judgment. You caught it all. You felt the shift in tone, you watched the patterns repeat, and still you said nothing. Because chosen ones don't need to announce what they know. They wait, they document, they build the file. And when the moment finally arrived, when you decided to speak, it wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't emotional. It was surgical, precision cuts, truth delivered like clean incisions. No yelling, no scrambling, just facts, so sharp, so clear, they left no room for denial. You didn't come with fire, you came with facts. And that's what gutted them. They were prepared to fight lies. They weren't prepared to face exactly what they said, what they did, how they looked when they said it, all mirrored back to them with no distortion. You didn't need exaggeration. You didn't need a crowd. You didn't even need anger. You came with pure recall, and it broke their illusion from the inside out. What burns them now is knowing they were exposed, not by confrontation, but by truth they couldn't run from. And that truth didn't come with rage. It came with calm. That's what really haunts them. You didn't destroy them. You just revealed them. And the truth was enough. Number 7. You weren't in the game. You were the glitch that broke their entire strategy. You didn't break the pattern. You were the plot twist they never saw coming. They were busy playing the same tired game. You were the error in the system that crashed the whole program. My dear chosen ones, this one hits different because this is the moment they realized you weren't just hard to manipulate. You were impossible to predict. They had their little formula, their tried and true tactics. Their psychological dance they'd rehearsed 1,000 times. They'd use guilt, flattery, silence, chaos, a whole deck of manipulative cards. And it worked. On everyone else. Until it met you. They thought they were dealing with another pawn, another easy-to-read personality they could trigger into reactions. But you were the glitch in their code, the wild card that couldn't be placed, the one variable that didn't fit their equations. They kept pulling strings, waiting for you to dance, and you just stood there, unbothered, emotionally steady, mentally 10 steps ahead. No response, no breakdown. Just that quiet, unreadable energy they couldn't penetrate. They couldn't figure it out. Why didn't you chase the closure? Why didn't you bite the bait? Why didn't you fall for the silence treatment, the gaslighting, the staged vulnerability? Because you weren't trying to win the game. You were the end of it. You saw it for what it was and decided it was beneath you. While they were busy trying to press your buttons, you were disabling the whole control panel in silence. And what scares them the most now, that they don't know the exact moment they lost. There was no dramatic scene, no screaming match, just a gradual unraveling of every manipulative tool they'd ever used, quietly dismantled by your refusal to play along. They were so used to people breaking, but you didn't break. You disappeared. While they were playing offense, you were studying their entire playbook, every look, every pause, every guilt trip, masked as care. You weren't confused. You were collecting data. That blank expression they mocked. That wasn't cluelessness. That was calculation. You were watching them write their own downfall in real time. They thought you were passive, but you were the mirror, the one they couldn't run from. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't expose them. You just held still, and in that stillness, they revealed everything. That's the power of being chosen. It's not always in what you say. It's in what you withhold. It's in what you let unfold. Now they're shaken because they finally understand you weren't the player, you were the observer. You weren't a threat because you fought back. You were a threat because you saw everything and didn't react. And now? They're stuck with the realization that while they thought they were running the show, you were already planning your exit. Chosen one, they lost not because they slipped. They lost because they underestimated who was standing in front of them. And now they know you weren't unpredictable because you were unstable. You were unpredictable because you didn't need to play their game to end it. And you ended it without touching a single piece. And that, chosen ones, is why they're still shaken. Not because you fought back, but because you never had to. You didn't react, you outgrew. While they were trying to keep control, you had already taken your power back in silence. You weren't the player they prepared for. You were the storm they never saw coming. And now, their game is over. If this message hit home, like this video, subscribe for more truth that cuts through illusions, and drop 77 in the comments if you know you're the variable they couldn't calculate. Share this with someone who needs the reminder.